Howdy everyone, this is LockNutz, and you're watching a map tour of Osada by RajotGPLAY. Hopefully you'll stick around to see what happens. Howdy, 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 how are you guys doing today? Oh my goodness, I tell you what. Today we get to go on a map tour of Osada by RajotGPLAY. Now, I do apologize if I mispronounced that. This map here is 290.52 megabytes to download and is very cross-platform friendly. You betcha. This map is roughly based off of, or I shouldn't say inspired by, Eastern Europe. So we got that going for you. Now, one of the things that I go about doing here on all my map tours, I start off in new farmers mode. That way everyone knows what you end up starting off with if you decide to start off in new farmers mode. So without further ado, let's jump right in and take a look and see what you'd start off with for equipment. Alright everyone, so let's go ahead and take a look at the equipment you'd be starting off with in new farmers mode. Starting off with tractors, you start off with not one but two Zeeters, gotta love that. Harvesters, you start off with one Rothless Mesh, and that does come along with one grain header for that Rothless Mesh. Trucks, you do start off with one pickup truck. Trailers, you start off with one Welger trailer. Plows, you start off with one Pottinger plow, followed by one Rab cultivator. You have a Nordstein seeder, and then you do come with a Massey Ferguson baler. So you have all that stuff rocking and rolling for you. Nice little setup for this Zeter farm. Let's go ahead and take a look at the map. All right, everyone, this here is the map. So as you can see, there is a lot of different shaped fields. You got some small skinny fields, some long fields, I should say, some oblong fields, some more long fields. Ultimately, you have a nice array of sized fields on here. It's pretty darn slick. Taking a look at this, as you can kind of see, there are vehicles on here. You do actually start off with all the vehicles that we went over in every mode, so keep that in mind. And you do have access to all these two animal pens that are on the map. No matter what mode you guys start off with, you get both of that stuff. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this, because there are two starting farm locations that you can kind of choose from. There is this one right here, and then there is this one, which is a little, or this one, which is a little bit bigger area to go ahead and get yourself set up on. There's also this little field down here. We're going to stop at this one because you could either use this field, from what I'm seeing, as kind of like a placeable area, or potentially a farmyard. And once we get over here, you'll kind of see what I'm getting at with all of that. But you do have the majority of the production facilities on here, and you do have a couple train locations that you can go ahead and sell your stuff to. One thing that you want to keep in mind is there is no BGA. But I wouldn't worry about that, because one of the things that the map maker has gone ahead and said is that this map, as you can kind of see, there's some stuff around the outskirts, will be enlarged at some point in the future. So keep that in mind. This map will be getting bigger, will probably end up requiring a brand new game save. But if you just get that many more fields, that many more options, potentially a BGA hidden in there, you never know, might be worth it. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the field prices are going to be like. Starting off with, what do you actually start off with? You start off with this one farm, the one starting farm location, and you do start off with this field 31. Now, as you can see right here, this one farm location is 127,000. This other one up here is 264. So there's a slight price difference. That one right there is only 48. I'll go ahead and get a little bit more in detail. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But taking a look at the price of the fields, you come up here to field 69, and that is the most expensive field on the map, coming in at 289,000. The cheapest field on the map is little old field 56, coming in at a whopping $22,000. Now you do have other fields on here. This one's pretty darn close at 23,000. But other than that, they do have fairly average priced fields on here. You could actually end up buying a lot of fields with the starting cash that you'd end up starting off with, especially if you decide to do new farmers, or not new farmers mode, farm manager mode, where you get the $1.5 million. So kind of keep that in mind. You could buy up just tons and tons of fields, maybe not necessarily a lot of square footage or square hectares, however you want to look at it, hectares, but still quite a bit. There are a couple forestry areas on the map here, not too shabby at all by any means. It allows you to go ahead and get out there and do some forestry. We'll swing on through those. There is a flooded swamp sort of area that does a little bit of forestry in there too, so that's kind of a nice little feature on here. But if you go ahead and take a look, all these areas where you have these, but not that one, that's kind of off the map, where you have these buildings and everything on here, you can purchase all of this stuff. So kind of keep that in mind. Virtually anything in this grayed out area, you can actually buy. So essentially you can buy everything on the map. Just to let you know. Nice little feature there. Now that we've taken a little peek at the map, guys, let's hop on out and see what this one looks like from the ground. All right, everyone, so a couple things I want to start off with here right away. There are a couple custom things that you can go ahead and purchase on this particular map when it comes to placeables. Looking at the silos, you do have this farm silo right there. It's pretty darn slick. It is one of those silos where you do need to go ahead and essentially kind of rework how this is looking. As you can see, there you go. You got to make sure you go ahead and place this just right so you can get that in there. Move that up. You can see a little bit of where that trigger is, but for the most part, it's going to sit nice and neat. Let's see here. Silo extensions, you do have the manure heap that is available to you. Coming on over to the houses. I forgot about the houses. There are two different houses that you can go ahead and put out here that you don't normally see on base game stuff. Production, that's what I wanted to hop on here too. Production, you do have two different versions of, or I should say a little bit different look here. You got this spinnery here, which is kind of a neat little thing, and then you have this dairy right here. So slightly, this right here, slightly different, not normally what you end up seeing on here, so that's kind of neat. And then you come on over to the animals here. Pigs, you have a slightly different pig shed. So you got that going for you, depending on what you like. It's an option. It's cheap. You can get 100 pigs in this one versus the large pigsty, which you can get 270. But still, the price of $28,000 is not too bad at all, even with it being on the land and in a hill. It's not the end of the world there. It really isn't all that bad. That's pretty much it what there is. There's also a bunch of other different textures you can go ahead and paint on the ground. Other than that, that pretty much takes care of everything there. This is one of the two starting farms, like I said. One thing I want to do before we get ourselves too ahead of things is I want to put the map on the corner of the screen. I like to have that up there so that you guys can kind of follow along with me as to seeing where we're actually going here. Now, coming up over here, come on. There we go. You got your cows. They look like happy cows. Very happy cows over here. Not too shabby. And this shed actually holds 30 cows in there. So that's one thing to kind of keep your eye open for. Also, you do have access. I believe I mentioned this. You do have access to this whether you own the land or not. So keep that in mind. Storage here. The storage is actually kind of neat. I kind of like these drive-through ones like this. I enjoy this. It's nice. To me, I like it. I think it's pretty slick. As for this over here, we got a little bit more storage in here. One of the couple Zeters. Now, this part right here is kind of interesting if you ask me. You have this right here. It's a nice little overhang, nice place to store stuff. Watch out, though. There you go. Pretty darn slick. I actually didn't realize that the doors were right there. I thought, oh, this is a nice little overhang and all this stuff. Nope, you can get access in here. If you're really tight for space and you gotta really figure out how to do stuff, you probably can go ahead and close up one or two of these doors, keep them closed, store stuff in here, and then only drive stuff out through that smaller door. Although I don't think this guy will make it out that smaller door. You probably have to get that one in there, do a little bit of shuffling. I have confidence you guys can get this working. Let's head on up over here, and this is where your old Zeters park. Gotta love that thing. Along with your truck. Not too shabby. You do have a save point, not save point, you have a sleep trigger right here, so you got that going for you. Pretty slick, nice little starting farm to start off with. So let's hop into here and get ourselves rocking and rolling. Now, one of the things that you're going to come in contact here, like this farm right next door to us, we can go ahead and purchase this right now, and I'll give you a little demonstration. You can go ahead and purchase this. Got to click on the right thing here, farmland. Buy that. Yes, we'll go ahead and buy that. But these doors don't open. So keep that in mind. All of these places that you can actually go ahead and purchase, like I said, you can purchase you can purchase all the different plots of land on the field. The problem you do run into with like that one right there, you don't have access to any of the buildings. So keep that in mind. I think we're going to head up by the... Jeepers, we're going to head up by the other farm right off the bat, the other starting farm, and then we'll kind of do a little bit more wandering around. I will go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a forewarning right now. I enjoy driving through the fields, so you can kind of take a deep breath. I know, it hurts sometimes, but I like to drive through the fields to kind of give you guys a little bit better view of what things actually look like out on the farms. Okay, I missed my turn. So we'll cut up here and we'll kind of, we'll go up here, kind of drive around, then we'll make our way back over to the farm so you guys can see that one. Now, kind of looking at this, there are a lot of nice and neat little places you can go, like the gas station. The gas station is kind of an interesting spot right here. It's up here, and get in there, open that up. There it is, right there. That's your gas station. That's kind of neat. I like that. I like that. It's one of those things you wouldn't expect. You'd expect like an actual gas station, fuel station, petrol station, whatever it is that you call it. You'd expect something like that. You actually have somebody's house with a fuel tank. It's pretty cool. Well, at least I think it's pretty darn cool. Now, kind of taking a look at some of these hills here, as you can see, there are quite the elevation changes here. Ooh, little drainage ditch, gotta watch out for that. That's my bad. So you do have some hills. Now, that small little Zeter is probably going to end up having problems with some of this stuff. So that's one of those things you're going to want to kind of keep careful or keep in mind as you're going about doing some of this stuff. Now, there are 50 collectibles here on the map, and they are the toys. So we'll go ahead and collect this one here. There we go, $1,000. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right, let's get this guy out of the way here and continue on with our little tour. It is pretty darn slick. If you do think about it, like I said, you can go ahead and purchase a good chunk of these locations, or I should say all of these locations here. This one doesn't have a lot of excess space, but you do have other places on the map here that you can purchase that actually have quite a bit of space to them. So keep that in mind. As we kind of continue on down, hopefully not getting in trouble there, you will notice that there is quite the elevation changes here. It's not more of a bumpy and lumpy landscape. It's you're building fields, or you're creating fields, or you have fields on the side of hills. It's the way it is. All right, so here is the secondary farm location, just to kind of show you guys. what we're dealing with. Where are we at right here? This here is the pig stall that's in here. Let's go ahead and hop on through here so we can see how many pigs we can actually fit in here. I believe this is that one that we can buy for 28,000. So it should be 100 pigs. Yep, 100 pigs you can put in there. So kind of keep that in mind. It has a little bit of storage over here, not too bad. It's got a little carport. Yeah, I guess you could possibly call this another carport. Little shed, like that little shed there. It's kind of neat. This one is the one that's a little bit more expensive. It does have more storage. To get out of the way of the door there. Holy cats. It does have more storage. And again, it does have a couple of these drive-through locations so you can get from one side to the other. All in all, pretty darn slick. I am a big fan of storage, especially with all of this stuff. And one of the cooler things is you have some old rusting implements out front. You got to love that. I can't even imagine not having a real farm without rusting implements somewhere. Oh man, I kind of like this though. You have this little side road that you can go ahead and get in. You can get in up over there. You have this one gated entrance right here. This is pretty slick. And then you have another gated entrance. This is almost ritzy. Oh man, but all in all, guys, I'd have to say this is kind of I like this location. It looks really good. Obviously, I'm liking the one that's slightly more expensive. I can't help it. But yeah, all in all, I'd say that's a pretty decent location. You got your nice little silo right there. Let's continue on with wandering around on the map. Traffic-wise, guys, traffic is not terrible on the map. We'll go ahead and take a look at a little bit more of this. Traffic isn't terrible, but it does, as you can see, as you travel a little bit farther out, traffic does go everywhere on this map. There are very few roads here that you are not going to be involved with traffic, and all of the roads are actually pretty darn narrow. So kind of keep that in mind as you're going about doing this stuff. Like I said, here's this road right here. It's barely a 2-lane road, and you have traffic on this thing. I mean, you can see right there, it takes up quite a bit of the space. So keep that in mind when you're going about doing this stuff. Whether it's, well, any best way to look at it is if you have the option to get a seeder that you can pull behind, that kind of goes in that, sorry about that. I had a mental lapse there. Like in draper headers. If you have a seeder that you can pull behind you in like that draper header style, that's probably what you're going to end up wanting to get. You don't have to. It's either that or get something that can really get narrow, get skinny, as I'd like to say. That's probably going to end up being your best bet. Now, this is typical of the wooded areas that you can find in here. You have a lot of mixed things in here. You got small trees, you got large trees, you got medium-sized trees. It's all over the board. It is hard to see through here. And it's not necessarily just because there's a lot of trees in it. It's just they're strategically placed where it definitely is a little bit more difficult to get out. Or at least see out to this thing. So let's head on over here. On this side of the map, the railroad tracks, they're not 100% the boundary. You can get on the other side of them, but they're pretty much the boundary of the map for right now. Let's go ahead and kind of shoot ourselves through here. It does appear that there will be enough room for you to go ahead, and if you want to do a little off-roading with your forestry equipment, you will be able to get through there with relative ease. Now, as we kind of wander back this way for just a second, I wanted to make sure we have an opportunity to stop here at the gravel pit, which is where you're going to go ahead and you have that opportunity to sell your stones. It's pretty darn slick. Nice little gravel pit they got going on here. You have, that's your selling point for your stones, and then essentially they all go up there and dump down. Now, I have gone ahead and tried it, and you don't really have much of an animation, so you're not going to see that. But it's just kind of neat to look at it and to see, you know, this is quite the setup. Most of the time when you see these stone crushing areas on maps, you can tell that it's kind of like an afterthought. This is one of the first maps that I can remember. I could be wrong, so if I'm wrong, comment down below. please comment down below. Admonish me. Let me know I've done this wrong. This is one of the first maps I remember seeing where they actually built a facility for crushing stones, and that's pretty darn slick if you ask me. So let's continue on around and about to see where we are with what we're doing here. We're smashing into things is one thing that we're doing. All right, let's get up on the road here and keep ourselves rocking and rolling up the hill. Yeah, I want to cut across here in just a second, and I think right about now is a good time. There we go. Got through. All right, and up here you have your, what are your train depots? It has the ability to load onto the trains to sell. I think it's actually selling it to Goldcrest Valley is what the train is saying it's doing. You have yourself an old windmill. There's nothing, it's just decoration. There's nothing that is involved with it, but it does look pretty darn neat. We do have this little bit of a forestry area. We'll kind of zip through the edge of it so you can see, like I was saying, it really... Oh, we're at the bottom of the map there. It really is like everything else here. I mean, it's... You're not... You're not being bogged down. You can't... It's a little bit harder to see in here. This section of forest, though, I forgot about this one. It has some taller trees in there, so if you're looking to do a lot of harvesting, you have that ability. We'll drive on up over here by the old windmill. It'd be cool if we could get something like that at some point being a potential grain mill. I think that'd be kind of neat, but that's just me. Continuing driving on around on the map here, we are looking at more of these fields. And these ones over here are probably some of the flattest fields that you're actually going to see on the map. And that's saying a lot considering you're driving over here. And, oh, look at that huge slope. So keep that in mind, guys. Before you go ahead and purchase any of these fields, stop, take a look at it, see how it actually looks before you go ahead and purchase it. You could be buying something that is going to be incredibly hard to navigate. And as you can see, like the farm, we do have the Zeter dealership. Pretty darn slick. I'm going to turn the truck off here for just 1 second. Now, this is that field that I was telling you about way back at the beginning here. We have two little paths, couple paths kind of running through here. This is why I'm thinking that this possibly could be a good starting farm location, or even a, I don't even know how you want to say it, a placeable area, because it's nice, it's neat, it has a little bit of a driveway through here so you can kind of build stuff around it. Obviously you can build roads through here however you want. That wouldn't be the end of the world, but this is not field grass. This is just map grass. You cut it. I don't know if you get a yield off of it, but you definitely, you can't go ahead and get a great yield. So that's why I was saying I think this area would work out really slick. With that being said, you do have this farm location right here. Now, again, this really isn't a farm location. We're going to go ahead and buy that so I can show you. You come on over here. You can't enter. You just can't enter these. But it does have an outhouse, so at least you got that going for you. Like I said, you can't enter these, even though it does look like there's a lot of storage space in here. There really isn't anything. If you want to, it might not be a terrible thing. You possibly could go ahead, buy this land. Let's see here. I don't believe you can get rid of these buildings. No, you can't get rid of these buildings here. So you can't get rid of them and place your own sheds down in here. But the reason why I was saying maybe this over here, because there is some places where you can do a little bit of storage. You could use this kind of as a staging area. Go ahead and collect that. You could use this potentially as a little staging area. There is a place for this right here. And you could make something happen and have this be a starting farm. Now, that's just me speaking out loud. I don't know. You guys can do what you want. Comment down below. Let me know if you think this is a good idea. So at this point, guys, let's get ourselves ready and fly up into the sky and take a look at this thing from up above. All right, everyone, up, and away, here we go. You can definitely see what I was talking about here a little bit easier with all of this stuff happening. It definitely makes that a little bit easier to see. There is also a little area right on over here that I wanted to come and point out really quick. You do have this little cell point over here, so you have another little bit and piece to kind of add to the majestique, I guess, if you want to call it. Let's head back on up over here, and then we can take a peek at this. It does kind of have that nice checkerboard, or not checkerboard, but quilt pattern, I guess, if you will, where it's kind of mishmashed pieces of land smashed together, making a nice quilt work of a map. It is kind of neat to be able to see. This is one of the parts of the map tours that I really kind of enjoy for my own personal reasons, because you really can get in here and see a lot of these elevation changes. You can really see the bumps and lumps and bruises and imperfections in the land when you can get yourself up here a little bit higher and take a peek and see what everything looks like from up above. It really is kind of neat. It definitely shows you that the elevation changes are there. Like a lot of the maps that you'll go ahead and see, you wander around on the fields and it's bumpy and lumpy. No, this is, like I said over here, you have fields all over the place. And they're actually on the hills, on the hillscapes. They are part of the land. It is pretty darn cool, I think. I think they've done a great job making this map, putting everything together. I'd say hats off. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this one. Is this a map that you guys would want to play on? If so, let me know. How would you want to start? What farm would you want to start off on? How would you want to go about doing it? Would you want to jump into forestry? Would you want to do animals? Would you want to do the pigs, or would you rather do the cow farm? Would you rather start off all on your own on that little plot that I showed you down at the bottom of the map? Either way, guys, it doesn't matter to me. I think it would be fun to get out here and rock and roll. So if you guys are liking what you're hearing, liking what you're seeing, go ahead and smash that like button. I really would appreciate it. Hit that subscription. It helps a ton. Oh, you betcha it does. Go ahead and hit that notification bell and make sure you have it on and set to all. That way you know when this and other great videos are coming out by myself. Go ahead and share this with somebody who likes gravel pits. Why not? Somebody who likes gravel pits, or maybe even selling stones. It's up to you. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully I'll catch you again some other time. And until we get to that time, thanks for stopping by.